Since 2003, hitting the left, the right, the center, black, white, red and yellow, loved by some, claimed by many, coming straight from New Jersey, via New York, via Jamaica, via a ship named Jesus, it's Sanjana, Mr. Ola Tunji! Welcome to Garvey's Ghost TV, February 22nd, 2010. This is a special Dred Scott alert. The Dred Scott alert system is on high. For those wondering what the Dred Scott alert system is, it is a scale of the threat posed by law enforcement to black people. Now, those people out there wondering who Dred Scott is, let me inform you. In 1857, the U.S. Supreme Court under Chief Justice Taney declared that Negroes, being inferior to and unfit to associate with whites, had no rights that any white man was bound to respect. Now, what kind of rights was he talking about? Well, first we look at the U.S. Declaration of Independence, where it's written that we hold these truths to be self-evidence that all men are created equal. Hypocrite. Excuse me. That they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Hypocrite. That among these are life, hypocrite, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life. Now, if we move on to the U.S. Constitution, otherwise known as the Supreme Law of the Land, we find the Fifth Amendment, which states, "No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law," unless you're Dred Scott. Now, so you need to understand that as a citizen, you have the right under the supreme law of the land to your life. Now, let's see why we have the Dred Scott alert set at high. Exhibit A. On January 29th, Aaron Campbell was shot in the back by police. The grand jury says that the shooting was consistent with the use of deadly force because the suspect was reaching for his waistband. So he was reaching in his waistband, but he had his hands in the air, but he was reaching for his waistband and got shot in the back. Because clearly, reaching in your waistband from your hands in the air is threatening. This sounds familiar. Exhibit B. The Sean Bell case. The Department of Justice determined that neither accident, mistake, fear, negligence, or bad judgment is sufficient to establish a federal criminal civil rights violation in regards to the Sean Bell execution. Now, I say execution because when we look at the testimony of Officer Oliver, we see that he was in fact trying to kill Guzman, who he claimed was reaching into his waistband and not trying to get away from an officer who was shooting at him. Now, if you go to the Garvey Goes blog and put in a search for Sean Bell, you will find a series of articles called Sean Bell Watch, in which at Garvey's Goes we detailed a lot of the testimony during that trial. And one of the things that you will see if you look at the strange testimony of Isnor and Oliver was that Oliver's story was interesting. Now, he claimed that he saw and heard gunshots coming from a vehicle that had no weapons. Nevertheless, this brave officer left the safety of his vehicle with that nice iron block engine to block incoming gunfire that he claimed that he saw coming. Walked 6 feet to the passenger side of the Nissan Altima that Sean Bell was in. Remember, 6 feet across the front of a car that he said gunfire was coming from. Then he unloaded his first clip of ammunition, then reached into his waistband and pulled out another clip, reloaded his gun, and emptied every bullet except for one. In his testimony, he said that after every shot he fired, he reassessed the situation. Bang! The Negro's still moving. Bang! Oh, the Negro's still moving. Really? This brave officer left his vehicle, walked 6 feet in front of and across a car who he claimed was shooting at him, and unloaded 2 clips of ammunition and didn't see a gun. Because Guzman, who was falling over trying to get away from the gunfire, was reaching for his waistband. Bullshit. Now, what did then presidential candidate Obama have to say after that verdict came down? Roll clip.
Obviously, there was a tragedy in New York. I said at the time that without the benefit of all the facts before me, it looked like a possible case of excessive force. Now, the judge has made his ruling, and we're a nation of laws, and so we respect the verdict that came down.
Now, let's contrast that with what Obama said after his friend Skip Gates, the professor, was merely arrested for disorderly conduct outside of his home.
I don't know all the facts. That the Cambridge police acted stupidly.
Right. It was silly and unwarranted. They got sit-downs and whatnot. So basically, everyday Negroes who get shot up don't warrant any kind of presidential commentary, but high post Negroes get tea and beer at the White House.